All right, welcome to another episode of Limitless MD. I'm your host, Vikram Raya, and today we're going to talk to one of my good friends and mentors, Dr. Charlie Webb. Charlie and I go way back. He has helped mentor me, coach me in a program called Freedom Practice Coaching, where we literally take doctors from all over the country, show them a better path of where they can provide better service to their patients, gain more revenue, and gain more free time. What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? My name is Vikram Raya, functional cardiologist, high performance coach, and real estate expert. And I'm here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life so you can unlock your limitless potential and achieve greatness, all the while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in. I have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dr. Charlie Webb. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, Vic, it's so good to be here. It's so good to see your face. It's really good to see how far you've come, man. It's been a fun journey for me as well. Just watching you. So good job, man.
Dude, I am so thrilled to have you, man, because you've inspired me to go beyond the stethoscope, right? I'm not here just to take care of patients now. I want to take care of doctors. And I've created Limitless MD as a platform to help doctors get more freedom, get more wealth and have more free time, and also optimize their life and their body. And so those are all areas that you're specialized in. Tell me about your origin story. How did you get started in all of this?
Well, I guess I had the same frustrations that you did, that all our clients have. I had the frustrations of being in a broken system. I just got to the point, Vic, of realizing it didn't have to be that way, or I demanded it, I guess. So, I was in the position that many doctors find themselves in, health practitioners. I was in when I say the traditional model, the fee for service, where most everything's based on treatments and services and so forth. There's a place for that, but I was feeling a little bit more like a technician. And I was, being controlled somewhat, in my opinion, by insurance companies, because they kind of decide what you get paid and what you don't and all that. And I found myself in this thing and said, you know what, this system's rigged against us. As practitioners, we're supposed to be able to empower those people that trust us, not just treat them. Not that it's like these people come to us with broken lives, their lifestyle. And that's how they ended up being in the place they are. But the model that we're taught when we get out of school is treat the boo-boos, not, hey, the problem's the broken lifestyle. And so I knew that the problem in practice was a broken practice model. The symptoms of getting burnt out, the symptoms of not being able to see patients as for the period of time that you should, being burnt out, not getting paid your true value, getting burnt out because you're not seeing your family. Those are symptoms of a broken model. And instead of me trying to fix a broken model, which it can't be fixed, I built a new one. I said, you know what? I'm going to play in a different sandbox. I'm going to build something new. And it worked out quite well. As you know, you've gone through it.
Yeah, no, it's outstanding what you've done. And help our listeners understand, look, most doctors, they don't have MBA, they don't have business training, yet they're put into sort of a business battlefield. What do you arm the doctors that come through your program with, and how do they learn how to practice better?
Yeah, well, when it comes to the practice better side, I believe most doctors are competent in their field, whether like yours, cardiology, right? You're competent in your field. You wanted more. You wanted to impact the person's lifestyle so they wouldn't have to come back and get a stent or crack their chest open or whatever it is, right? And I think the majority of doctors and health practitioners, they feel, if I can only do more, if I can only, touch on their behavior, right, and change that. And so when you say that, doctors get out of school, they don't have an MBA, you're right, they don't. Quite frankly, though, even an MBA in the traditional college, so to speak, doesn't really arm anyone with entrepreneurial skills, right? It's better than nothing, but doctors come out, they don't have an MBA, let alone entrepreneurial skills to build a functioning business, right? So And again, this is intentional. Doctors are not taught this for a reason, so they become dependent on a system, dependent on insurance, dependent on the pharmacopoeia model. If they were learning entrepreneurial skills, well, they would be able to open up a practice and apply their beliefs and how they want to work with people and how they can better empower people on their terms. Well, we can't have that, right? So we recognize that doctors got into practice because, we all want to help people. We have a gift, right? And that gift is I want to serve in the health area of supporting people's health and being that person. We didn't go to school or sign up to be a business owner. But the fact of the matter is, the minute you open up a private practice, you have taken on that responsibility. So now, and you are an entrepreneur. You've built yourself into an incredible entrepreneur. When we started way back, you were a doctor, a very good doctor that did very well, but you were extremely burnt out and frustrated. I remember those times. We had some emotional talks, and you were very open to letting that, not only to me, but you got on our stage once and I really appreciate that, but you let people know that, hey, I'm vulnerable here and this is what's going on, and we don't need to be practicing this way, live this way. So we want to support doctors by instilling in them a mindset of understanding. If you want to help people to their fullest, you have to have a business that's going to allow you to do that. It's going to have to run like a top, so the patient, the client, can be focused on fully, rather than the attention being the busy work that goes along with keeping the doors open, right? And so we take our clients, as you know, through a pretty extensive curriculum. But I consider it a much higher order than you would ever get in any kind of college, because it's a deep dive into entrepreneurial, but healthpreneur. It's in the health side of it.
You actually help create these docpreneurs out there, which is phenomenal. Let me ask you this. Like, I know, to get the full effect of your program, obviously they need to go through it, but what are the 3 things you notice first when a relatively successful practitioner comes to you, but they're not happy? They're burnt out, they're not getting enough revenue, or they're just chasing their tail. What are the first 3 things you either recognize in their practice or recognize about them that you want to at least work on?
Well, you're right. Okay, so just because someone comes to us, it doesn't mean that their practice isn't giving to them, for example, a good financial return. That's not what it means. It means they're not getting what they had hoped for, right? I just did a video this morning on what are you chasing, right? We have a tendency to chase things, and when we're young, we have a tendency to chase the big home and the cars and all these things. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the reason that we chase things is because of what we believe the emotion that's attached to that will bring us that emotion. And part of that emotion is, why did I chase being a doctor? Because I like the emotion of seeing someone's life change. I like being that person that allowed them, to get that point. But what I see when doctors come, they've lost this drive, this spark, and they really don't know how to pick it back up. They're looking at their symptoms and kind of going, well, I think if I had more new patients, then I would be happy. I think if I paid myself more, I'd be happy. I think if I had more time off. And all of those things can certainly help us step out of the stress and be able to take a deep breath if I have plenty of great qualified patients, and if I'm making the kind of income that I should, my value, all those are great. But the biggest thing that I see that finally lights things up is when they're able to see a different path and they change their mindset. They're occupied so long of well, this is what my colleagues do, this is what we do, that's just how it's done, and they don't know, wait a minute, isn't there a better way, right? How do we Uber this? Just like, we put up with taxis forever. And finally someone said, this is broke, this doesn't work. And they created a different play box, or a different sandbox to play in, right? They create Uber. And that's exactly what we do, is open up the practitioner's mind and help them understand, do you realize that you can impact these people that trust you at a whole nother level, that you can put together actually a plan and a destination to help them achieve, all while you be able to have this life built around your practice. In fact, I always tell practitioners, hey, if we work together, it's like I told you, I said, look, if this is what's going on in your practice, and this what it's brought you, do you want me to fix that? Well, the knee-jerk reaction is, yes, fix it. Well, I just told you, the taxi service can't be fixed. It's broke. You can't fix it. We have to create what? A new one. So I'll tell doctors, no, you don't want me to fix the model you're in because it's broke. It's the fee for service. It's the doctor getting paid what the insurance thinks they should. Or even if they're out of insurance, you're still in fee for service. That's a broken model. That's set up for failure for both the patient and the doctor. And so instead of trying to fix that and working twice as hard to get twice the money and losing your life completely or whatever it is, why don't we just say, you know what? Why don't we just focus on doing things different? Think about this, Vic. In the traditional model, when someone's got all these challenges, the symptoms and the pains and all of this stuff, the traditional model is to label it, diagnose it, and then treat it, right? Well, what's the value? It's like the patient's living in the desert with all of these, they're unhappy, they're depressed, they're overweight, they're inflamed, they can't play with their kids. And so we treat them in that place. Well, here's the new model, right? Let's ask the patient where they want to go. Where do you want to go? Well, why do we focus solely on all the boo-boos? And then if we treat the boo-boos, then the patient leaves until the boo-boos come back. Why don't we ask Jane, where do you want to go? I want to feel 20 years younger. I want to be able to bop around with my kids. I want to play some volleyball. I want to have sexual intimacy with my husband like I did 20 years ago. I want to feel like beautiful Jane. I want to feel like living again. How about we go there, Jane? How about we go there? Because here's the deal. If we just focus on empowering health with Jane, what happens to the desert she was living? What happens to all the symptoms? Well, they go away. And so the same thing holds true in the traditional model. We focus on managing the problem rather than going for where we want to go. Because if we simply change her behaviors and her lifestyle, all of those things that she was labeled with, would they go away? And that's where she's going to find value. That's where she's going to find investment, priceless opportunity. The same thing with a practice. Why do we want to fix what's a mess when it's not fixable? Why don't we design our lifestyle and then build a practice around it? And then all of our attention and everything we do, the actions we take, the way that we build the systems are built for what we see as the opportune place to work and to thrive and to have that lifestyle.
So that was an awesome point, Charlie. Like a lot of doctors think, hey, you know what, the practice owns them. They don't own the practice. And what you just said is, let's design your lifestyle first and build the practice of your dreams around that. The other cool thing I love that you said is, ask the patient what they want. You know, normally you go to the doctor finds what's wrong and you fix the symptom, not the system, right? You're saying, look, Jenny, do you want to just be stable? Great, we can do that. Do you want to become, 20 years younger? Do you want to go superhuman? Whatever you want, we have a protocol or program created to meet your needs. And that's what's personalized medicine. That's what you guys are doing. You're creating a pathway to progress here. So that's awesome. And Charlie, one of the things you say is you want to create a new breed of doctor. Tell me about that.
Well, a new breed of doctor is stepping out of the commodity system, right? A lot of doctors believe they have competition. Like once they get into practice, if they believe they have competition, I'll ask them this. I'll say, so Vic, you believe there's competition? Oh, there's a lot of doctors around here, right? There's always competition, right? Well, are you doing the same thing as those other doctors? Well, so bottom line, if the value or how you're getting paid as a doctor, if you're getting paid in direct relationship to a treatment or a service or a product or a supplement or whatever, if that's how you get paid, you're a commodity. Because any doctor can deliver those apples and oranges. Now, you might be able to deliver it much better, but I don't know that. I'm just going to pick the doctor on my insurance and one close to home. You might be the top doc within all your colleagues know it, but I don't as a consumer. And quite frankly, I don't care if you're going to give me the same stint as another doctor. I don't care if you're giving me the same supplements. What differentiates that new breed of doctors, they become a category of one doctor. So it's like right now, your value, well, you've got value as a practitioner when you're in practice, and your value has extended beyond what the normal doctor does because you've become a mentor to the patient. You're empowering them. Empowering someone becomes priceless. Now you're a coach. The value, once again, isn't in your deliverables. Your value is in the wisdom that you can deliver and help me apply that and implement that wisdom. So a new breed of doctor is one who recognizes that the lifestyles are broken. So if I can work and identify where Jenny wants to go, and we paint her canvas and we know what Superwoman looks like for Jenny, and we put a program together, a plan. How can Jenny become Superwoman if there's not a plan? How can you do that with fee for service? Well, you and I both know it's impossible. So we put a plan together. And in that plan, there's education, there's curriculum to empower Jenny to take her life back and in her own hands. So you become more than a doctor, you become her mentor. And this is what's interesting. In time, you've done such a good job, she doesn't need you. And some doctors like, oh, well, then I won't have patients. Yes, you will. Just because she doesn't need you doesn't mean she doesn't want you, right? You were a client of mine years ago. We still talk.
Oh yeah.
I'm still a mentor. And by the way, you're in your ways, you're mentoring me too. We work together, right? But you don't want a patient needing you. You want a patient wanting your wisdom, and they'll gladly invest themselves into that relationship.
Yeah, and they also send referrals. They'll
create
all sorts of things. Yeah.
There's too many. Look, 1 out of 5 physicians left practice over the last 2 years. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh wow.
They're done. And what they saw was
say that again. Say that again, Charlie.
1 out of 5 practitioners left. Right. This is an article that I just read. So the research was in there. And what's interesting, this, if 1 in 5 left, at least 2 in 5 or 3 in 5 is getting ready to, right? Well, what happened? They finally said, enough. I'm being manipulated. I'm being controlled as a doctor. They're telling me, the government is telling me how I'm supposed to take care of people. No, I'm not playing this game anymore. They finally woke up and said the system's corrupt, and they left. Okay, so this new breed of doctor, like you, like me, like these other FPC clients, who are becoming more than a doctor, they're becoming the mentor to guide, to empower people to take back their life. Those people are going to have so many patients trying to get in their doors within the next couple of years, they won't know what to do. This is where things are going. People have said enough. There's always a place for acute care. There's always a place for the primary care. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is there's been a missing doctor for years, and that is the mentor. That's the person that empowers them to make daily changes. And if we do that, we're not going to have the same disease processes that we do now. We're not going to see so many people.
Guys, Dr. Charlie Webb is just saying the doctor of the future is not some pencil pusher. It's not some clock in, clock out, Medicare, CMBS, all that. It's a person who's a doctor coach. It's a mentor, and it's a person who cares about their patients and creates pathways to where you empower to educate the patient to heal themselves, and you be the guide, versus you prescribe a supplement or a pill or procedure.
Well, then it becomes, right, a relationship that you've created someone of need. You've enabled them. It's kind of like having, your 40-year-old son living in the basement because you've never empowered them. And as physicians, we have a responsibility to teach, but I'm going to say we have a responsibility to empower. There's a difference, right? So teaching is just, anyone can teach and anyone can remember stuff. Empowers to actually own that wisdom and know how to implement it. it.
One of the things I always admired about you, Charlie, is you talk about extreme ownership, and we've both admired Jocko and people like that. And speaking of which, I'm going to be speaking on stage with Jocko in Charlotte, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but tell me about you've inspired so many doctors to take extreme ownership and take back their lives and reclaim their practices. Can you give an example of one or two things that doctors who are listening to this podcast right now, what can they do to have extreme ownership and say, hey, you know what, I'm in control here?
Okay. I'm gonna take my personality a little bit like Jocko for a second. Okay, I'm gonna that military part of me is gonna come out. I wasn't in the military, but you know that part of me, right? You
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Look. A lot of people will say, "This is what I want. This is important to me. I want to be super in shape. I want my practice to generate, $500,000 a month. This is where I want to go." And the truth of the matter is, well, you're not showing me. Right? I mean, extreme ownership, your actions, the fruit that you bear, your actions tell me how bad you want it. And in using the word, there's a word that's outlawed here in my office. If someone comes in my office, there's a word that's called "but." It's outlawed, right? I mean, let's find out what the challenge is, own it, and let's figure out how to deal with it. Don't say, well, Dr. Webb, your practice model works really well, but you don't understand. In my town, they're not human beings. They're from planet whatever. Human beings are human beings. Our model works all over the world. You know that. But I'm always hearing people say they're making statements that they're giving up their ownership. They're giving away their ability to create this beautiful life by saying, I'm not in charge. Extreme ownership is to put yourself in charge. You are exactly where you are in life, Vic, from the choices you chose to make and those choices you chose not to make. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're in a really good place now because you took extreme ownership and didn't say but. You did the things you need to do, just like getting in shape. Do you really own it? What are you doing in the morning? Or it's like sometimes taking ownership is finally getting to a point to stop doing some of the things you're doing, right? It's one thing to say work out. It's another thing, quit watching the TV every night or quit getting on social media. They're both just as powerful in how we change that lifestyle. So there's no excuses in life. There's challenges, there's trials, there's tragedies. We all go through them. And the problem isn't within that. The problem is how you respond to it, how you deal with it. And I've had plenty of mine, you've had plenty of yours, and there's certain tragedies that I hope I never deal with. But I know the answer's the same because I've seen these tragedies. I've got a dear friend of mine that was paralyzed from the waist down 25, 26 years ago. He spoke on our stage once. I think you might remember, Bubba.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would have taken that in a different way he did. Maybe even me. It would have hurt at first. I think I know myself well enough that I come through it. But he continued just like he was one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met. He continued to expand his business. He continues to train. We used to train together. He's in great shape. He's with the girl of his dreams right now. He dated her years ago and they're back together. He loves life. He takes extreme ownership. And he just said, yeah, I remember him telling me once, Vic, he said, you know what? This is the cards I've been handed, Charlie, and I'll be fine. I'll deal with it. Yeah. How do you beat that? Right? And we sometimes have to wake up and realize the cards we've been dealt are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with those cards? So taking extreme ownership, the beautiful thing about it, recognize that you have the ability to create the kind of life that you want. But it will take effort. It will take discipline. Don't let someone kid you. But those are beautiful things, and they become addictive when we start seeing the return.
Charlie, one of the things we both share is biohacking, human optimization, and things like that. What are the things? I mean, if you feel comfortable sharing your age, how are you so in such great physical shape? And I think off air in the green room, we're talking about how you're about to compete for a physique competition in Pittsburgh. I mean, can you talk to the audience about how you're anti-aging, essentially?
When I was young, I got into, I saw these pictures, and I was born in 61, so I'm going to be 61 here. In July, the day I compete, I'm turning 61. And it's the top of the shows. It's a big show out in Pittsburgh. And I'm doing it because of the discipline, right? The camaraderie. I work out at a gym where it's a competitive gym, a lot of professionals. I like to stay in the game. I like to be in the game. Now, I'll train whether I compete or not, but it's the camaraderie, and it's to show my son, I've got a 17-year-old son, and to show him that you can keep your youth, son, and you can be disciplined to do things later in life, because there's a lot of people, a lot of guys my age, 61, they're not doing so good, right? And then I'll be on stage with some other people in their 60s that look pretty incredible, right? And you're just like, what's the difference? Well, a part of it's just loving life and living life. And I've got, when I made a decision to get married and have a child, then my life wasn't about me anymore. So I have a responsibility to stay young, right? To do what I can to do that. Now, I would still do it, whether I was married or not. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to take care of myself because I like being active. I like feeling youthful, and I'll fight it. I mean, I'm going to age. I can't stop it, but I don't plan on going out easy. And so, my day starts, and I think any doctor should consider, if you really consider yourself a doctor. Now, there's a technician doctor that just treats the boo-boos, and then there's the empowered doctor, the coach doctor, the new breed of doctor that represents health, that moves people into make changes. That doctor has to represent health. So when I look at that doctor, when I look at you as a functional, more the functional type of cardiologist, I gotta say right away, I know without a doubt, you're living a pretty incredible life to look like you do. The glow, the physique, all those things, your energy tells me you walk the talk. And so as a physician, are we getting up in the morning? Do we have a routine? I have a routine every morning. There's a special drink.
What's your routine, buddy?
So first thing I wake up, the alarm's at 6:15. I'm up. I'm out of bed. And the first thing that I do is I go outside, no matter what the weather, and I do air squats to just loosen up my knees, loosen up my back, breathe and stuff. Kind of in cold weather doesn't matter, because I like that, right, to stimulate. Then I go in. I have 24 ounces of water, and then I go do. It takes me about 15 minutes of yoga that I do to also stimulate and get my mind just to settle. And then I have this, I'll go upstairs, I hang upside down, and I'll do my 50 crunches. And so that's the start. And then I'll turn on my sauna. I've got an infrared sauna, far infrared. I go have a special drink that I have that's got all kinds of cool stuff in it, my elixir, if you will. And then I have just a little bit of iced coffee, cold brew coffee. And then I take my dog for about a 25-minute walk. And by the time I get back, my sauna is up to 148 degrees. And so I hop in my sauna, I'm in that for 25 minutes. I take a cold shower, and now I sit down and I do my morning study. And for me, that's spiritual study in the morning before I get going. And I get all that done before, 9 o'clock when I really start hitting things. That's every morning. That's how I get things started. Now, there are some times I don't want to do the yoga. There's sometimes I don't want to go do my crunches. I don't think about it. I don't
Non-negotiable.
I don't pretend that I have a choice. I'm a robot in the morning. I just find myself walking up the stairs to the guest bedroom where I've got my stuff. So I believe it's those things that are non-negotiable that allow me to have the kind of vibrancy I do, to live the kind of life I do, so I can be clear and I can have energy in my business and everything else. And I won't give those up, Vic. There's no way will I give those up, because I believe it's keeping me vibrant. And of course, I do my workout separate every day, right? I got a 1:30 workout time.
I love the principled life you live. I love the mission and the passion that you have. What's next for Dr. Charlie Webb?
Well, I'm not going to retire. I can tell you that. I love to coach and consult. I've got an incredible team here at FBC. I absolutely could walk away and this business is going to be fine. I have incredible, my team, incredible professionals. And so I'm always going to be a part of this. I love what I do, but between you and there's other people I've told this, in time, Vic, I want to mentor young people that are getting out of high school, making choices to go into college. And I want to mentor them on how to thrive in life, not survive, but how to thrive and how to set their life up in a balance to where they become good leaders, to where they become great daddies and mommies and great spouses, and they put God up on top and really understand that we have a purpose. We were given a gift and be a good steward on this earth while we're here. And that means to thrive. It means to really live to your fullest. And I'll tell you what, the young people that I have coached, because I'm coaching some right now, the response is pretty fascinating in a world today where we kind of question our poor young people with the indoctrination, everything they've gone through. There's a lot of them coming through that, and their BS meters on, they see it, and they're looking for coaches. They're looking for leaders to show them a way. And it's a wonderful thing. So that's a big passion of mine.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what the impact is that you want to have on the world, but it sounds like not only do you want to have an impact on medicine in this country, but all the doctors you've mentored all over the country as well. But now you're going after the youth. So it's amazing. I love it. My audience of doctors and professionals and entrepreneurs probably are like, foaming at the mouth now. They want to know more about you and your company. How can they get to know more? And I will put everything in the show notes.
Here's what I found, and I know you know this too. If you want to know more about Charlie Webb and FBC and how we change lives, then come watch me coach. Right? There's nothing better. If I'm looking for someone, can this person help me? Well, watch what they do. I mean, if you want to be a basketball star, what coach are you going to get? Well, watch how they coach. Right. And so I've got opportunity for them. Certainly someone can, if someone wants to reach out and get with one of my coaches, for example, there's a lot of doctors, they have been watching us, right? And if you've already been to the webinars or any of those things, maybe you're wanting to say, hey, I want to talk to someone about strategy. Here's where I am today. This is my practice. And I understand what you guys are doing. Help me understand what the strategy would look like for me to start transitioning a little bit to this new model. So there's that opportunity. You can certainly, there'll be a link there that you can give them if they want a strategy call. But for most people, if they don't know us, I wouldn't recommend that right away. I would recommend see if what we do resonates. And I do a 1 hour webinar that's really the business of wellness, right? It's the keys to this new model that I've been talking about that sets outside, that we've Ubered it really. And I would get on that. We do these a couple times a month. I'd for sure get on that. And then if you really want to take the deep dive, if you're a Vic, you'll go for the 4-hour workshop. And so that link will be available too. And I can tell you, this is not braggadocio. I've just been doing this a long time. I know how to connect to people. I know what they're going through. When people go on my 4-hour workshop, 95% of every one of them stays the entire 4 hours. They never leave.
That's awesome.
which really means that they get it, right? They're looking. And when we finally connect and help them understand, I got you. I'm hearing you. I know where you are. It's okay. Let's find some peace and let's build this new model where it's yours and you have the freedom. So that's my biggest suggestion is come learn from me, be a student. And then if it resonates, well, we can talk about what it looks like to become a client, well, an application process and so forth. And we can talk what that looks like, but let's start dating, right? Let's start coaching you guys, because I'll coach you as long as you want to be there. Even if you're never a client, there's plenty of stuff that I offer to coach people.
That's awesome, my man. All right, guys, all that will be in the show notes below. Guys, you've learned about being a new breed of doctor. You heard about extreme ownership. You've talked about how you don't need an MBA to be successful in business. All the kind of outcomes that doctors are looking for in this day and age. You can learn from this man, Dr. Charlie Webb, founder, entrepreneur, mentor, freedom practice coaching. All the information will be in the show notes. And until next time, my friends, be phenomenal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below or simply visit vikramraya.com. So until next time, my friends, be phenomenal.